Chapter 3. Make teamwork normal. Building individual connections creates the foundation for excellent remote leadership, but you'll quickly discover what Anna learned. Strong individual relationships don't automatically translate into effective team collaboration. Your next challenge is creating systems that enable your team members to work together effectively. The client call was going well until Jordan opened his mouth. Anna was presenting her team's preliminary findings to the Morrison Industries executive team, a potential $2.5 million contract renewal that Dataflow really needed. Elena had done exceptional work on the data validation, Priya had created compelling visualizations, and Bobby's predictive model was showing exactly the cost savings the client hoped to find. Anna was mid-sentence, explaining how the model accounted for seasonal variations, when the client's CFO asked a technical question about data confidence intervals. She was about to respond when Jordan's voice cut through the Zoom call. Another business requirement that makes no technical sense. I mean, confidence intervals are a statistical concept, not a business decision framework. The silence that followed felt like hours. Anna watched the client faces on screen, some confused, some clearly annoyed. The CFO's expression shifted from interested to defensive. "I'm sorry," the CFO said slowly. "Did someone just say my question makes no technical sense?" Anna's heart sank. She could see Jordan on the participant list, but his camera was off. Probably thought he was muted. The rest of her team was visible on screen, and she watched their reactions. Elena looked mortified. Priya was staring at her screen wide-eyed. David was shaking his head slightly, and Bobby was typing frantically in what Anna assumed was a private message to Jordan. After Anna salvaged the call and the client hung up, her team remained on the line. Jordan had turned his camera on, his face flushed with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry," he said immediately. "I thought I was muted." "Jordan," Anna interrupted gently, "we need to talk about this as a team." Jordan's client call mishap illustrates a challenge you might recognize: having talented individuals who make costly mistakes because they lack the systems and safety to collaborate effectively. This chapter shows you how to create the communication systems and psychological safety that transform individual contributors into a genuine team. The incident revealed a crucial gap. While she'd been building individual relationships successfully, her team had no systems for supporting each other or handling problems collaboratively. You might recognize this pattern: strong individual relationships that haven't yet translated into effective team collaboration. They'd been operating as 6 isolated individual contributors who happened to share a manager. Jordan's mistake wasn't really about a mute button, it was about a team that had never learned to leverage their different perspectives productively. Your responsibility, that only you can do, make teamwork normal. How this chapter helps: you have unique authority to structure how your team communicates, collaborates, and handles problems. Only you can legitimize peer connections, create communication protocols, and design systems that make it normal for team members to reach out to each other. Building on the individual connections you've established, your next challenge is making teamwork feel natural and safe, whether people are scattered across time zones or split between home and office locations. This means creating an environment where people actively reach out to each other, share problems openly, and collaborate without fear of judgment, regardless of where they happen to be working that day. What creating safety means: you deliberately design team communication systems that enable psychological safety, peer connections, and effective information flow. This isn't about being the nice manager who avoids conflict, it's about creating the conditions where problems get solved quickly, innovation flourishes, and people perform at their best together. Why this matters: communication quality is the #1 predictor of remote work success, scoring 1.406 on research importance, scale significantly higher than work flexibility, 1.194, or technology access, 0.005. This means how well your team communicates matters more than having flexible schedules or better tools. Even more telling, research demonstrates that strong support from both peers and supervisors is crucial for promoting well-being and job satisfaction in remote work environments. Studies show that peer support has particularly strong relationships with remote work self-efficacy and serves as a critical factor in the success of remote work arrangements, with some research indicating it has a more direct impact on work-life balance than even supervisor support. Capone et al., 2024. Your job isn't to be everyone's primary support system, it's to create systems where team members naturally support each other. What this includes: team communication design, psychological safety building, peer connection systems, information sharing protocols, and collaborative problem-solving structures. What this excludes: individual relationship building, that's Chapter 2, performance evaluation, Chapter 4, or one-on-one development conversations, Chapter 5. Research foundation: why teams need your authority to feel safe. Multiple studies confirm that psychological safety directly influences job engagement and creativity, particularly in remote work contexts, where team members must navigate both individual self-management and collective collaboration challenges. Translation: when people feel safe speaking up, they engage more deeply with their work and contribute more ideas. But this safety doesn't happen automatically, it requires intentional system design. The remote challenge. Research reveals why this matters for your remote team. 25% of fully remote workers report feeling lonely a lot of the previous day, and studies confirm that strong support from both supervisors and peers is crucial for promoting well-being and job satisfaction in remote environments. Gallup, 2025, Capone, et al., 2024. The solution isn't more video call sits, creating systems where collaboration feels natural and safe. Additional studies show that 34% of remote workers worry about their ability to collaborate effectively, and 45% are concerned about not seeing colleagues in person. GitLab, 2021. While 71% believe their organization balances asynchronous and synchronous work well, 70% of organizations actually default to synchronous communication tools, creating inefficiencies and overload. This mismatch highlights why deliberate communication design is essential. Psychological safety becomes even more critical remotely, because you can't rely on body language, hallway conversations, or casual check-ins to gauge team dynamics. As research from Zhu, 2025 suggests, psychological safety is a critical element in creating a workplace culture that promotes transparent communication and supportive team dynamics, which allows teams to learn from their experiences. Anna's experience with Jordan's client call mishap illustrates this perfectly. The problem wasn't that Jordan had technical concerns, those were valid. The problem was that they had no system for sharing those concerns constructively. Without deliberate safety systems, remote teams default to either hiding problems, Elena working alone on weekends, or creating them accidentally, Jordan's public frustration. The 5 essential team systems. Multi-channel communication strategy. How this works. Design and implement a strategic framework for when to use different communication channels based on purpose, urgency, and audience, ensuring that every type of communication has a clear, appropriate home, rather than letting communication happen randomly across whatever platforms people prefer. Why this matters. Remote teams struggle with communication channel chaos, where important information gets lost in the wrong channels, and people either over-communicate through inefficient methods or under-communicate because they don't know which channel to use. Clear channel strategy reduces communication anxiety and increases information flow efficiency. Strategic framework design. Immediate urgent issues, synchronous, video call or phone for complex problems needing real-time collaboration and immediate resolution. Important not urgent, asynchronous, email or project management tools for decisions with longer timelines that benefit from thoughtful consideration. Quick questions, semi-synchronous, team chat for questions that need answers within a few hours but don't require immediate response. Documentation and reference, asynchronous, shared documents for information that needs to be referenced later and updated collaboratively. Social connection and team building mixed, dedicated channels for team building, celebration, and informal interaction that builds relationships. Implementation example: after the client call incident, Anna worked with her team to create a comprehensive communication charter. They established: use the #team-urgent Slack channel for same-day client issues, #team-questions for technical help within 24 hours, email for project updates that can wait, Google Docs for collaborative planning, and #team-wins for celebrating successes and sharing non-work updates. They also created a #call-support channel specifically for private team coordination during client calls. The transformation was immediate. Elena stopped hesitating about asking questions because she knew exactly where to ask them. Jordan could share technical concerns in the appropriate channel instead of staying frustrated. Bobby got faster help with client communication because people knew to check #team-questions regularly. David could coordinate complex projects efficiently because people knew which channel to monitor for updates. Common mistakes. Using video calls for everything to replicate in-person meetings. allowing communication chaos without clear channel purposes. Defaulting to whatever channel the manager prefers rather than designing for team needs. Creating too many channels without clear purposes or usage guidelines. Not teaching the team how to choose the right channel for different communication needs. Measurement. Team members should choose the right communication channel 90% plus of the time without guidance. Response time should improve for different types of communication, and team satisfaction with communication should increase measurably. Mistake sharing culture design. How this works: create explicit systems, rituals, and language that make sharing mistakes feel normal, helpful, and even celebrated, rather than something to hide or fear. This includes establishing regular forums for discussing what went wrong, what was learned, and how to prevent similar issues, while modeling vulnerability by sharing your own mistakes and learning openly. Why this matters: psychological safety allows teams to acknowledge mistakes and undertake initiatives, fostering learning and enhancing software quality by utilizing prior missteps as learning opportunities. Zhu, 2025. In remote settings, mistakes often stay hidden longer because there are fewer casual opportunities to notice and address them early. When people hide mistakes, small problems become big crises, learning opportunities are lost, and team members miss chances to help each other avoid similar issues. Culture design components. Weekly learning rounds. Create regular team time specifically dedicated to sharing what went wrong, what was learned, and how to prevent similar issues. Mistake celebration language. Use phrases like learning opportunity, valuable mistake, and system improvement chance that reframe errors as growth. Leadership modeling. Share your own mistakes and learning publicly to demonstrate that vulnerability is safe. System focus. Emphasize how to fix processes rather than assigning blame to individuals. Learning integration. Connect mistakes to concrete improvements in team systems or individual capabilities. Implementation example. Anna instituted Learning Fridays, where the team spent 15 minutes each week sharing challenges they'd encountered and solutions they'd discovered. In the first session, she modeled by sharing how she'd initially misunderstood Elena's weekend work situation and what she'd learned about checking in more intentionally. Jordan shared his client call mistake and how it had taught him about the difference between technical accuracy and business communication. Elena shared a data analysis error she'd caught early and the validation process she'd created to prevent similar issues. Within a month, the team was proactively sharing mistakes in their #team-questions channel with phrases like learning opportunity alert and, quote, this before it became a problem. Bobby started documenting common modeling challenges for the team. Priya created a list of visualization best practices based on client feedback mistakes. David began sharing stakeholder communication lessons learned from difficult meetings. The result was that problems surfaced earlier, solutions spread faster, and people felt supported rather than isolated when things went wrong. Common mistakes. Only sharing mistakes after they've caused major problems, rather than catching them early. Focusing on who made the mistake rather than what can be learned. Making mistake sharing feel mandatory and performative, rather than genuinely helpful. Not following up on shared mistakes with actual system improvements. Leaders not modeling mistake sharing or only sharing safe mistakes that don't reveal genuine vulnerability. Measurement. Mistakes should be reported earlier and more frequently. Team members should proactively help each other avoid known pitfalls, and innovation should increase as people feel safer taking intelligent risks. Peer connection infrastructure. How this works: create structured opportunities and systems that enable team members to build professional relationships directly with each other, rather than having all relationships flow through you. This includes designing collaboration formats, skill-sharing opportunities, peer mentoring systems, and cross-training initiatives that give people legitimate reasons to work together and get to know each other's expertise. Why this matters: research shows that support from both peers and supervisors is a key factor in increasing work engagement, Capone et al., 2024, but peer connections don't happen automatically in remote teams. Without intentional infrastructure, remote teams become collections of individuals managed by you, rather than collaborative units that can support each other. Infrastructure design elements. Skill sharing sessions. Regular opportunities for team members to teach each other tools, techniques, or knowledge areas. Collaboration partnerships, pairing team members for projects that play to complementary strengths. Cross-training initiatives. Systematic knowledge sharing to reduce single points of failure and build mutual understanding. Peer problem solving, structured approaches for team members to help each other work through challenges. Knowledge documentation, systems for capturing and sharing team member expertise so people know who to ask for help. Implementation example. Anna noticed that her team members rarely interacted with each other outside of full team meetings. She created several peer connection systems, monthly skill swaps, where team members taught each other new tools or techniques, project partnerships that paired people with complementary expertise, and a team knowledge map that documented who had expertise in what areas. Bobby started teaching Priya advanced statistical concepts, which improved her data visualization accuracy. Priya taught Jordan design thinking principles, which helped him communicate technical concepts more clearly. Elena and Sarah partnered on client requirement gathering, combining Elena's analytical questions with Sarah's stakeholder management skills. David started mentoring Elena on business communication, while Elena helped David understand technical analysis concepts. Within 3 months, Anna's team was solving problems collaboratively without her involvement. When Bobby encountered a modeling challenge, he automatically reached out to Jordan for data engineering support and Priya for visualization ideas. When Elena needed help with client communication, she could go to either David or Sarah depending on the type of interaction. The team became genuinely interdependent rather than manager-dependent. Common mistakes. Forcing social activities rather than creating professional collaboration opportunities. Pairing people based on convenience rather than complementary strengths. Not providing structure for peer interactions, leaving people uncertain about how to help each other. Failing to document and share team member expertise so people don't know who to ask for help. Creating peer connections that compete with, rather than complement, your individual relationships. Measurement. Team members should increasingly collaborate without your involvement, knowledge sharing should accelerate, and people should report feeling connected to their colleagues beyond just you. Information transparency systems. How this works. Create clear protocols and regular practices for sharing organizational context, decision-making rationale, project status, and relevant information that helps team members understand the bigger picture and make better autonomous decisions. This involves establishing what information gets shared automatically, what gets shared upon request, and what remains confidential. You'll also need regular communication rhythms that keep people informed without overwhelming them. Why this matters. Information hoarding creates anxiety, poor decision-making, and increased manager dependence because people can't operate effectively without context. Remote work amplifies information gaps because casual information sharing happens less naturally. When team members understand the broader context, they make better decisions independently, feel more connected to organizational goals, and can better support each other and explain decisions to external stakeholders. Transparency framework. Automatic sharing. Information that benefits everyone and should be communicated proactively. Organizational changes affecting the team. Priority shifts in their rationale. Resource availability changes. Recognition and achievement opportunities. Available upon request. Information that might be useful but isn't universally relevant. Background context for specific decisions. Broader organizational strategy details. Performance expectation rationale. Development opportunity criteria. Confidential information. Information that should not be shared even if people ask. Individual performance issues. Sensitive organizational information. Personal information about team members. Proprietary company information beyond team scope. Implementation example. Anna established weekly context-sharing emails that covered company performance updates, leadership priorities, and any changes affecting the team's work. When Dataflow's leadership announced budget constraints that would affect conference travel, Anna didn't just deliver the policy change. She explained the business context that led to the decision, shared her own disappointment about the impact on professional development, described how she was advocating for alternative learning opportunities within the budget constraints, and asked for the team's input on creative solutions. She also created an Ask Me Anything Slack channel where team members could request context about decisions or organizational changes. When Elena asked why certain client projects were prioritized over others, Anna explained the revenue impact and strategic importance, rather than just saying leadership priorities. When Jordan questioned a new data security protocol, Anna shared the business reasoning and compliance requirements, rather than just enforcing the rule. The result was that team members made better independent decisions because they understood the business context, felt more connected to organizational goals, and could explain decisions to clients more effectively. Common mistakes. Sharing too much information that creates anxiety without providing actionable context. Only sharing information reactively when people ask rather than proactively providing useful context. Violating confidentiality in the name of transparency. Sharing organizational concerns without context or action plans that leave people feeling helpless. Using transparency as an excuse for not making decisions rather than explaining the rationale behind decisions. Measurement. Team members should make more autonomous decisions that align with organizational goals, ask fewer questions about basic context, and report feeling informed about relevant organizational developments. Collaborative problem-solving protocols. How this works. Establish clear processes and systems for how problems get identified, discussed, and solved at the team level before escalating to you, including when and how team members should involve each other in problem solving, what types of problems benefit from collaborative approaches, and how to escalate effectively when team-level solutions aren't sufficient. Why this matters. Remote teams default to individual problem solving because collaborative problem solving requires more intentional coordination when people aren't in the same physical space. This leads to duplicated effort, missed opportunities to leverage collective expertise, and overdependence on manager involvement. Effective collaborative problem-solving protocols enable teams to solve problems faster, learn from each other's expertise, and reduce manager bottlenecks while ensuring appropriate escalation when needed. Protocol framework. Problem classification. Clear criteria for which problems benefit from team collaboration versus individual resolution. Technical challenges that could benefit from multiple perspectives. Client communication issues that affect team approach. Process improvements that impact multiple people. Learning opportunities that could benefit others. Collaboration process, structured approaches for involving team members in problem solving. How to request help and input from colleagues. When to use synchronous versus asynchronous collaboration. How to document and share solutions for future reference. When to escalate to manager involvement. Solution documentation, systems for capturing and sharing what worked so the team builds collective knowledge. Problem-solving templates. Solution libraries. Lessons learned documentation. Knowledge-sharing protocols. Implementation example. After Jordan's client call incident, Anna worked with the team to create collaborative problem-solving protocols. They established that technical challenges requiring multiple perspectives should be posted in #team-questions with specific context about what had been tried already. Client communication issues should be discussed in their weekly team meeting or brought to the #client-strategy channel for input. Process improvements should be proposed in their monthly retrospective for team discussion before implementation. They created a problem-solving template that included what I've tried, what I need help with, who might have relevant expertise, and timeline for resolution. They also established escalation criteria. Problems that were client critical, involved confidential information, or required manager authority should be escalated immediately, while technical and process challenges should be attempted collaboratively first. The result was that Anna's team began solving problems much faster because they could leverage multiple perspectives immediately. Elena stopped struggling alone with complex analyses and started getting quick input from Bobby and Jordan. David got better client communication strategies by running challenges past Sarah and Priya. Jordan's technical improvements were validated by the team before implementation, preventing unintended consequences. Common mistakes. Not providing structure for collaborative problem solving, leaving people uncertain about when and how to involve colleagues. Creating protocols that are too complex or time-consuming for everyday use. Not establishing clear escalation criteria, leading to either over-escalation or under-escalation. Failing to document and share solutions, missing opportunities to build team knowledge. Not modeling collaborative problem solving as a manager, which undermines adoption. Measurement. Problems should be solved faster through team collaboration, fewer problems should require manager escalation, and team members should report feeling supported by colleagues when facing challenges. Building on this foundation. Anna's investment in creating safety systems transformed her team from individual contributors who happened to share a manager into a genuinely collaborative unit. 6 months after the client call incident, her team was handling complex projects with minimal manager involvement, proactively sharing knowledge and solutions, and consistently delivering innovative solutions that impressed clients. But Anna noticed that psychological safety and collaborative systems were still just foundations. Her next challenge would be helping this now collaborative team focus their energy on the right outcomes and develop the autonomy to make decisions that drove business results. The safety they'd built was creating space for innovation and collaboration, but she needed to channel that energy toward clear goals and meaningful impact. Things to try. Quick wins this week. Communication channel audit. Document how your team currently communicates and identify one communication problem that could be clarified, like when to use email versus Slack, or who to contact for different types of questions. Mistake modeling. Share one appropriate mistake you've made recently and what you learned from it in your next team interaction. Peer connection facilitation. Introduce 2 team members who have complementary expertise and suggest a specific way they could help each other. For example, pair your strongest analyst with someone learning those skills for a 30-minute expertise exchange this week. 30-day experiments. Communication charter creation. Work with your team to establish clear guidelines for when to use which communication channels. Test for 1 month and adjust based on feedback. Weekly learning rounds. Institute a regular 15-minute team session for sharing challenges, mistakes, and solutions. Track whether problem-solving improves. Collaborative problem-solving trial. Establish protocols for team members to involve each other in problem-solving before escalating to you. Measure whether resolution times improve. System changes. Next 90 days. Peer support infrastructure. Design ongoing systems for team members to help each other skill partnerships, cross-training programs, or collaborative project structures. Information transparency systems. Create regular communication rhythms that share organizational context, decision rationale, and relevant information that helps team members operate autonomously. What not to do. Common mistakes. Don't create more meetings to solve communication problems. Design better communication systems. Don't assume psychological safety exists just because you tell people to speak up. Don't force peer connections through mandatory social activities rather than professional collaboration opportunities. Don't become the central hub for all team communication. Design systems that enable peer-to-peer interaction. Warning signs. Team members only communicate during scheduled meetings. Problems get hidden until they become crises. People always escalate questions to you instead of asking colleagues. Innovation and idea generation are low. Team members seem isolated from each other. Course corrections. If communication feels chaotic, create clearer channel guidelines and expectations. If mistakes are being hidden, increase your own vulnerability and mistake sharing. If everything gets escalated to you, establish peer-to-peer problem-solving protocols. If peer connections are weak, create more structured opportunities for collaboration. Within 3 months of implementing these 5 systems, Anna's team had transformed. Jordan's next client interaction demonstrated his technical expertise through appropriate channels. Elena began proactively asking for help in Slack, and the entire team was solving problems collaboratively without Anna's constant involvement. Psychological safety and team collaboration create the environment where high performance becomes possible. Your next challenge is ensuring that this collaborative energy focuses on meaningful business outcomes rather than just pleasant interactions. The systems you've built for trust and teamwork now become the foundation for results-oriented performance management. End of chapter. Note: creating psychological safety and effective team communication requires concrete systems and agreements. I've developed 2 essential tools to help you build these systems. You can download both templates at unlock.click.